Right, this is how to animate an avatar. To animate an avatar, we need to add a rig to it. A rig is a collection of bones, like a skeleton, which we need to tie onto the model to tell it where to bend and where the joins are, and arm legs, bone legs, all these individual different pieces. So I've built a self-portrait of myself, which we're going to add some bones to. To add a bone, we go down here to add armature, single bone. A bone will appear in the screen. Now these bones have a top and a bottom. Thin end at the top, fat end at the bottom. Now this needs to be located in the middle of our avatar, kind of about pelvis height. That's our first bone. Now, first thing you notice, you can't see the bone. It's disappeared inside the model. To change that, we go over to the right and click this little man button. Then we go down to X-ray, which makes the bones so they see through. Just drag it to kind of pelvis kind of area, about that. But that's fine. Now we tab into edit mode, and you see the top part of the bone has been selected. Press E to extrude, and we drag out another bone. And then E to extrude, we'll drag out another bone to the top of the head. I'm just going to grab that, click the bottom of the bone, and drag that up, and you can see it resizes. I'm thinking that wants to be about the neck area. Right, I'm going to do E to extrude again and put in a collarbone. I'll do one on either side, so I'm selecting the middle point again. E to extrude, another collarbone to about there. I'm going to go E to extrude the arm bone to about elbow level, and E to extrude elbow bone to the end. Now you can continue adding bones, and you can do hands and fingers and all that kind of stuff. But for the time being, that's just going to confuse us. So E to extrude, and we want some hips. So right click on that, E to extrude to about there, and E to extrude to about there. I'm going to shift select, so I've got both those bones selected now. Then we go E to extrude down to the knees, E to extrude down to the feet, press 3 to turn it sideways, and E to extrude, and we've got some feet. Now the whole thing's sticking out forwards of the kind of avatar figure at the moment. So I want to select everything using Control A and drag it back till it's kind of central. These things work best if they're slap bang in the middle of the arms and legs. The toes are poking out, but it doesn't really matter. Now once we've done this, we need to do what's called parenting it. All the objects you create in Blender in a particular scene can be linked together using a parent-child hierarchy. Bear with me. It just tells you what order things are selected in and whether things are moving together. So this is going to have a parent-child relationship, so the two things will be connected together. Now, right, I'm sticking the armature into object mode, and then I'm going to click on the avatar, then shift click to select the armature. So we've got the armature and the avatar both selected in that order. Then we come down here to object and then choose parent, and then parent object. Now we want to set the parent to object with automatic weights. This is like the easy way of starting off doing this, because it will give automatic weighting. Right, the two things are now parented together, and it has some weights. Weights are a way of identifying, or vertex groups if we're being technical. If I select just the avatar and change it into weight paint mode, as we write them, excuse me, I need to put this into edit pose mode. Now, pose mode, when you select on the right click on the armature, is down where object and edit mode is. It's a new one for us. It's pose mode down here. Now, if I right click on a bone and do alpha rotate, can you see how the two things are now moving together? So we can move his arms down a bit like this. Now, right clicking back on the avatar, we should be able to see the weight paints now because the other one's in pose mode. Now, can you see when I right click on the bones, we've got these coloured areas appearing. Now this is weight paint. Weight paint, much like hide and seek, works on the theory of warmer, colder. Warm areas are red, cold areas are blue. And what it's doing, it's creating vertex groups. Can you see these down here? This is the active data vertex thing. And all our separate bones have appeared down in here. They're mostly unnamed. I think I've named one or two of them already incorrectly. But a vertex group is an area assigned to a bone. Now, Blender doesn't know an arm from a leg and a head from a foot, so you have to give it guidance which bone is supposed to be connected to which part of the avatar, and this is what the weight paint's doing. This is done in an automated manner, so it's not a perfect solution. You can see this bone here doesn't appear to have any weight on it at all. This kind of elbow bone has got quite a lot. Now we can add paint in manually. While we're in a weight paint mode, we get these brush options. There's add, blur, brush and stuff. If I click on add, and then just no, we need to click on the. Does it all need to be selected? Oh, it's not working. We'll come back to that. we'll get into all that stuff later. Right. So we've got the two things parented at a very basic level. Now, in order to animate it, we need to understand a little bit about the timeline. Now, the timeline's this thing down at the bottom. Let's just put that. That's in object mode. Pose mode, that wants to be in. That's in object mode. Oh, my timeline controls have vanished. Where have they gone? I'm just going to pause this. Haha, I found them again. Maximize the window and they reappeared. Okay, right. So our timeline is a measure of time. Well, it's measuring frames, but you can think of them a little bit like seconds. And it goes from left to right with this scrolly green line. And like a tape recorder or MP3 player or whatever, you've got play, rewind buttons. Now, our initial pose, which is here, we need to set. To do that, we select all the bones in pose mode, press A to select all, then we press I, and then we choose rotation. Then we drag our timeline along a bit, and we'll rotate a few bones here and there. So we'll do that one and that one, and then we select all the bones, A a couple of times, then we press I, insert keyframe, and then rotation. Then we move our timeline along a bit, and then let's rotate that bone, rotate that bone, and rotate that bone, rotate that bone too, let's rotate that one a bit, let's bring that leg down, rotate down that way, rotate the foot as well. Whee. Okay, select them all again, insert keyframe, rotation. Now, when we drag our timeline along, we should see it go between these points, and it's kind of doing the in-between animations itself. Let's do one more for good measure about there. Let's rotate that one down to there, bring his head back. You can move around the whole thing. Rotate, rotate. What should we do? Let's rotate that one forwards. Whoa, that's probably plenty. Select all. I for insert, keyframe, and rotation. Now the other options in here are location. Say you want to move the entire person around. If he's walking around, he'll move around in the space. You can change that if you move location. Scale, you can increase and decrease the size of the bones and record that scale change as well. But we're just going to stick to rotation for the time being, because we're just moving arms and legs basically. Rewind to the start and hit play. And there he's dancing. It's not brilliant, but you get the idea. Right, so that's the basics. So we added an avatar in, just a basic box one, which I've smoothed and subdivided a bit using the surface modifier. We added bones in using that was, let's put it into object mode. That was add armature single bone. Then we changed it into edit mode and we extruded. And then once we had all our bones in, we select the avatar, then shift select the bones, then we went to object, parent object with automatic weights, and then we put the armature into pose mode and we moved the bones around. Then we did A to select all, I for insert keyframe, and then rotation. And then we press play and we move the timeline. Great, that's the basics.